OneX Developer Podcast.
Hello, and welcome to the OneX Developer Podcast. I'm Colin,
I'm Brendan.
and today we're going to talk about software services and programs that we pay for, or the ones that we don't pay for, why we pay for some, why we don't pay for others, just money and programming and all that. We're going to get in all that.
Yeah.
If I could wave a magic wand, I would, and I would make it so that everything just operates on the Wikipedia model. And it works.
And it's as good as Wikipedia and its quality?
Yeah, and it actually works. And people, actually, I don't know, because those like please pay us banners get more and more aggressive every time.
They're huge these days. Yeah, they're really big. Yeah, and I feel like a lot of people try that and it doesn't work. I don't totally know why Wikipedia has been as successful as they are, but they've made that work somehow.
Yeah, well, I wonder how that worked when they got off the ground. Did they have like people investing? Because like it makes sense now that it's like a household name, but I can't imagine. Can I Wikipedia? This is crazy.
Does it have its own entry?
Of course it does. It's been hosted since 2003. It's crazy.
That sounds right. I kind of remember in like 2005, I feel like there was a lot of buzz around it, and there was a lot of conversation around it. Like, did you know anyone can just like get on there and put whatever they want?
But I feel like we're already about to go down a rabbit hole. Yeah, but I do remember that. I remember like in high school, which would have been after 2003. We're talking like 2010. Teachers would say that they're like, you can't reference Wikipedia because it could just be anything. Anybody could just edit anything on there. And I'm like, well, yeah, but like there's other sources that it links to, so you could just click on those and see. But whatever.
I've been thinking a lot about that debate lately with the AI stuff because
oh yeah,
I think that there's this kind of like common thread there where people will say like the AI stuff is just giving you like it may or may not be the right answer. And in some ways, I feel like we kind of navigated that with Wikipedia too. It was like it's okay to read Wikipedia and like use that as like a jumping off point. You don't want to read Wikipedia and assume that everything that you read there or anything you read on the internet in general is 100% fact. But in some ways, I feel like we've kind of navigated these waters before.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like like I said, this is already a rabbit hole, but like I do feel like it's different, mostly in the sense that like the ways in which I've noticed tools like Claude being wrong are like different than. Okay, so I'm gonna give a really weird example. There's a show called One Piece, and my friend for Christmas, my friend gave me like a little One Piece figure, and the figure is a character who is a member of the Long Arm tribe. So the Long Arm tribe, they have two sets of elbows. So it's like, if you can imagine, almost like bug-like arms. They're very long arms, but there's like, instead of just one main joint, there's like two main joints and arms. Oh. So the reason why I bring this up is because the Long Arm tribe, it's very apparent when someone is a part of that, right? Like you can see just by looking at the character that they have arms that are crazy weird. And so my friend gave me this figure, and I was talking to him, and I was like, is this the only member of the Long Arm tribe we've seen in the show? And we were thinking about it, and it's like, I feel like there was somebody else, but maybe not. So I went on Claude, and I'm like, hey, is Apu the only Long Arm tribe member we've seen? And it said no. There's also I forget his actual name, but also the Mad Monk character. And I'm like, he's not in the Long Arm tribe. And I look him up, and he's clearly not, like, his arms are normal, and it's like it's just weird because like that's just not a mistake that I think a human would make, right?
Hmm.
Because
Yeah.
me and my friend, we the mistake we made is we just couldn't remember. We're like, I feel like there was somebody, but if you were to say, oh, it's this guy, like I immediately was like, no, that's completely wrong. That's not even. And I told it, I was like, no, he's not. And it's like, oh yeah, you're right. He's a member of this, and it's like that doesn't even make sense. You know, I feel like the mistakes that you see on Wikipedia or on online are things that are like mistakes that people would make. You know,
Yeah.
unless they're just malicious, like where Wikipedia, like people just like make things up about people.
Well, that's true, right? You always have to be. You can't assume good intentions from Wikipedia editors all the time. Do you think that's just an example of AI not being able to say like, I don't know, I don't know, that's factually wrong though. You're right. Why did it just pick a character and say like, yeah, this guy is?
Well, and just I feel like, I feel like I might make myself sound dumb, but like the thing that I continue to kind of struggle with a lot of AI tools is like they don't. It seems like they're missing a step of like checking themselves before they respond. You know what I mean? Because even if it were to say that, and if I were to just say, "Hey, you sure about that?" I bet it would have said, "Oh no, he's not." You know what I mean?
Right.
And I mostly use Claude for like code, and I do that a lot. I'm like, "Are you sure that's right? Are you sure there's not a better way to do this? Is there not a simpler way to do this?" And it will say, "Oh yes, there is." And it's like, can you just ask yourself that before you respond? You know, like
It feels
I
like
don't
that
know.
should be just part of any response at all, is just to ask yourself.
Yeah. Well,
Sure.
and we got into this a little bit on our windsurf review episode, but it would generate code that didn't even compile, and it seems like, well, check if it compiles before you give it to me,
Right.
because what am I even going to do with this? You know,
Yeah. That's interesting.
because like we have tools that are not AI or anything fancy to check if things compile, right? We have just regular linters and stuff. Like, you know, you can tell just from the text if this will compile or not.
Yeah. I wonder. I mean, that seems so obvious. I wonder why that's not a part of it right now. Feels like there must be a reason for that, right? If it were that simple, I
Yeah.
feel like it would have been
I
included
mean,
as
I
part of it.
I assume it's because they want the responses to be fast,
Right. It takes an extra. It's
and
basically
that's more
2 queries.
tokens. Yeah, that's more tokens, so it would cost more, I guess. Um, but anyway, maybe we can start there. Do you pay for any AI tools?
Nope, not right now. Yeah, I have a friend who recently started paying for ChatGPT. He was like, I'm using it for more and more stuff, and I think it's worth the. I think he was like $20 a month here.
Yeah, I pay $20 a month for Claude now, and I do think it's worth $20 a month. But when I hear about the $200 plan or whatever that ChatGPT has, I really have to wonder what that's doing for people.
Yeah, 100%. So where are you at with these tools right now these days? Like what are you getting for $20 a month? What kinds of things are you using it for?
Mostly side projects. I'll ask it to check my code or generate boilerplate, or but also just like random stuff. Because Claude keeps a history. Let me see. What have I asked Claude about? Um, okay. My last query was I wanted it to tell a funny story. This is just something I saw on Twitter. Someone doing. You say give me a green text, and then you give it like a prompt, and then just like a funny green text story, and see what it says. So that's my last one. I had a question about how websites detect what browser you're using. I had to explain quaternions to me. Are you
Oh,
familiar with quaternions?
yeah, it's a way
From
of like describing points in three-dimensional space, right?
Yeah, it's big in game dev, and I still don't feel like I really get it. But
My understanding is that quaternions were like this bizarre math thing that some guy came up with in like the 1800s, and nobody ever had a use for them until they started using them in video games.
I didn't know that.
I could
Uh,
be totally off
I
base
think
about it.
that's right. I mean, I know that there's a lot of mathematical like physics behind it. Uh,
It's just kind of an obscure concept that found its use in video games. People were like, well, actually, we can use this kind of like old concept.
That's cool. Very cool if true.
Yeah,
Not cool if you're just being a ChatGPT right now.
right. It's me
But you
just
see what I mean? Like that's a mistake that like a person would make. Is like you probably read something like that about something. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's not. But like that's not just like I can understand how that's a mistake that a person would make.
Yeah.
Anyway, I do. The other thing is I do generate the description of our episodes on Claude. So yeah.
But that, yeah, I mean, that's the kind of thing that AI agents or whatever AI intelligences are good at right now is just I don't know, summarizing, taking a bunch of text in and creating a summary of it.
Yeah, and I think it makes sense for these tools to cost money. They're very expensive to run and very expensive to train. One thing I'll say is I know a lot of people are they're signing up for like API keys, and they're just using the API keys instead of using the like monthly subscription web interface. And supposedly you save a lot of money that way. The only reason I don't do that is because I use the mobile app a lot, and I'm not sure of an easy way to like make an API call on my phone.
When people do that, are they using some other kind of front end for it?
I think so. I think there's like either they're just maybe they're just making CLI like calls from the CLI, but
That's what
it's
I
either
was.
that or I know there's some open source projects out there that you can just plug in your key and use.
That's kind of what I was envisioning. Is someone applies for an API key and then they have to do all their ChatGPT queries via curl or something. It was like, it seems like that alone is worth $20 a month.
Yeah, but I know there's tools where you don't have to do that, but still, yeah, you make a good point. Like, it's more involved than logging into a website and typing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Um,
interesting. I'm going to say I do plan at some point to start paying for an AI something or other. I think that they've reached the point where there's going to be more and more things in my life that I find them to be useful for, and I'm going to start paying for them because you're right, they are expensive to operate. I think if we want them to continue, we probably need to support them. And especially, it would be nice if the AI stuff could continue like without ads,
oh yeah, I didn't
I
think of
just
that.
I I think it's going to be a terrible world, and it just seems like it's right around the corner. If it's like, well, I'll tell you the answer, but first listen to our sponsored ad from Bobadin.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
I mean, so to get back to paid versus free, I think that's one of the biggest things, at least in the age of the internet, that differentiates these things. It's like you either have to pay for it or you have ads. I don't know that we've really figured out any kind of third path there. I mean,
Yeah, other than the donation only model, which almost never works at all. Um,
yeah.
anyway, subscribe to our Patreon. Uh, we don't have a Patreon yet. maybe when you're listening to this, we will. But that's something I always find interesting is not really Patreon, but like when you're watching like a big Twitch streamer and like Kai Cenat, like he makes a lot of money and it's like pretty much entirely donations.
Hmm.
And I just can't really imagine I would totally donate to like a smaller person that I want to like see grow and stuff, but I can't imagine like donating to someone who has more money than me.
That's actually a really good point. I donate, like I have a few Patreons that I subscribe to and I support them, but you're absolutely right. If it's a YouTuber that has 2 million views, I find myself less apt to like support them personally.
Yeah, I wonder what's going on there.
I don't know. I think probably most people don't think like that. I think probably most people don't have a preferential option for the underdog. I don't know.
Yeah. So that you think they just donate to, hey, this is who I watch the most, so I'm gonna donate
Yeah.
or like give my subs.
That's what I would guess. I think most people probably don't think about it that way. I think they think I consume this content. It's right for me to support this guy.
Do you
Whereas
tip? Are you a big tipper?
I try to tip good. Yeah.
I tip pretty well, I think. Yeah. I mean, for me, it's just I work in restaurants, and that's a thing. If you ever work in service, it's like that'll always stick with you that you just have to tip. Um, you ever like go somewhere with someone who like doesn't tip or they're like weird about it?
Yeah.
It's weird, right? It's like embarrassing.
It's really embarrassing. So my wife's parents have these friends. Hopefully they never listen to this podcast, but they have these friends who will do shit like they tip poorly, but they'll also do stuff like eat half their meal and then be like, "Oh, this wasn't very good. I'm gonna send it
Oh
back."
no, dude. Oh, that's
And
so.
I was like, I would never ever go to a restaurant with you people. That's
Yeah,
terrible.
yeah. I hate that, dude. That's it's embarrassing to everyone there, everyone at the whole table, because that the server goes back there and they're like, table 13, freaking set back all the stuff, and I have to redo all this, and I have to go get this, and I have to make fresh bread and everything, and
Yeah.
it sucks.
One time and I'd be done with that. I would never go anywhere with them again.
I would say talking about like waving my magic wand that makes everything use the Wikipedia model. If I could wave a magic wand and make tipping become just an extra, like everyone's paid really well, and the culture is you just tip if you're really impressed, I would make it that way. But that's not the world I live in, so I tip. That's kind of my
Yeah,
approach.
I agree 100%. I would prefer that, yeah, everyone working in the restaurant, back of house, front of house, all make a livable wage and that we do away with tipping entirely. Um, I think the whole thing of it's kind of dumb. To be honest, I think a lot of people see tipping as like a status thing.
Oh yeah,
They enjoy being able to be like, look how much I tipped, and it's
yeah.
kind of, I don't know. They feel something from that. But anyway, as long as people working in restaurants are not getting paid fairly, I am a huge supporter of tipping well.
Yeah. I think it makes sense in context. Like if you've ever been at like a really crowded bar and like you put your cash down to get the attention, like when it's like you basically need to tip to get what you want, like that. I think that makes sense.
Hmm.
But the idea that like we tip just automatically is weird.
I heard this story though one time. There was a famous restaurant in New York. I can't remember who it was, but it was someone that we'd probably heard of. And he tried to do away with tipping in his restaurant. He was like, "We're just going to raise the prices, do away with tipping," and ended up going back on it. He didn't like it. It didn't work out for the restaurant. And I
And what
don't.
yeah,
I
that's
think
interesting.
customers didn't like it. Customers would
People just
prefer
kept
to have their
tipping,
tipping.
or
No, I think. Well, I don't know. I don't know if the restaurant wasn't successful or what. I'm going to look that up before I start talking out of my ass. But yeah, I think it was that customers would prefer to have the tip, at least in a high end restaurant like that.
that I think I could see that. Uh, should we just make a tipping episode? Have you ever have you ever been like asked to tip in like a really weird scenario though? I saw a chiropractor once, and I was like filling out the thing on the tablet, and there was a tip line, and I was like, no, I don't tip the chiropractor. I'm sorry, that that doesn't make sense.
I can't think of a really weird one that I've been asked to tip on, but obviously it's come to more and more places, right? You didn't used to tip at
Yeah,
Starbucks, and now there's tipping
yeah,
at Starbucks. But that's exactly why I think we should do away with tipping. Is like the reasons for who to tip and why is so arbitrary and so just culturally mandated, right? And so it's just like, there's that whole thing in Reservoir Dogs, the beginning of Reservoir Dogs,
yeah,
where
yeah.
he's like, why don't we tip at McDonald's? It's like, yeah, why don't we tip at McDonald's? They don't get paid fairly either. Like, and so like when Starbucks starts saying, well, you can give us a tip, it's like, oh, I guess that's reasonable.
Yeah, yeah,
Why didn't we do that before?
yeah. It's weird. Okay, so what do you pay for any streaming services?
Spotify.
That's it? I pay
Oh,
for a lot.
I guess all the stuff that we watch videos on.
Yeah, I'm including that also.
Yeah. Yeah, we have quite a few.
Yeah.
I think, between, maybe I shouldn't admit this on the podcast, but between paying for it and stealing other people's logins and all that, I think we have access to like all the streaming all the major ones.
Right. Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, I have a few, and there's some. So it's weird. Like, I used to pretty much watch everything through other means on the internet, and then I started. I think Netflix was probably the first one I got, and then I got a few others. And it's weird because like I run into situations where there's like one show on a thing that I want to watch, and so I will sometimes go watch that through other means, not through the official service, right? But I don't know how I make that decision really, and it's all very odd. Like, so the big piracy like uh like argument is that a lot of pirates would make is that, oh, it's not that I don't want to pay, it's just that I want the convenience of like I just have it and it's the best quality and I don't have to log it. I don't, it's simpler. And it seems like streaming services for the most part provided a service that was more convenient than piracy, so people kind of started doing that. But it seems like, I don't know, just the fact that like there's several services that are like they have one really good show and that's it. That sucks.
Mm-hmm. It does suck.
And then, so I wanted to bring this up because in this situation we have it's not just ads versus paying for it, right? Like that's what you brought up earlier. But there's tiers on a lot of services where you have ads and you pay a lower amount, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of a new phenomenon, I think.
I hate that. That drives me crazy. It kind of makes sense. So when I'm sitting there looking at the Hulu price list, it kind of makes sense that like if you pay this much, then you have less ads, and if you pay this much, you have no ads. But when I pay for something and it still has ads, that drives me crazy.
Yeah, this is a big part of why I just won't use Windows. When they started putting ads in the start menu, it's like, no, you don't do that. You don't get to do that. You don't get to do that.
I bought the software.
Yeah, that's insane.
I think that's crazy too.
Yeah. And it's so interesting though, because it creates this relationship with advertising where it's like advertising is a punishment, right? And we that's how we always think about it, but it's like, how does that make you feel if you're an advertiser on that platform, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm like the marketing person at Charmin or whatever, and people pay money to not see those bears with the Charmin toilet paper. Like that's crazy. That's weird.
I've never really thought about it that way before, but yeah, I mean that can't make you that can't make you feel good about your job. But at the same time, I mean, ask for any given ad, ask a person, would you rather see an ad or not see an ad? The answer is always going to be, I would rather not see the ad, except during the Super Bowl for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Because like people will go, like you can look up like some of the classic Super Bowl ads, and they've got like millions and millions of views on YouTube of people just watching them for enjoyment.
The Super Bowl is its own weird thing. I'm still a little bit lost on why we celebrate Super Bowl ads, but that's probably
They're not even
topic
good
for another
anymore.
day. Was there a point where they were good?
I believe they used to be way better.
Okay. I know there's the classic Apple one, and
the Doritos ads. A lot of the Doritos ads were pretty funny. Doritos always had good ones.
I don't really remember ever paying attention to ads. I got to be honest. I didn't really like have anything against them, but I don't remember being excited by them.
Yeah, I definitely less than others. I've had a lot of times in life where people say like, people will reference something, and I'm like, what? And they're like, oh, like the commercial, and I'm like, I haven't seen that one, or I just tuned it out, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about.
I think for a while in the early days of streaming, there was a lot of that, right? Where I pretty much would only watch ads. The only time I was watching like TV on TV was football. And so if the ad didn't play during football, then I was watching everything else on streaming. And
Mhm.
yeah, I had the same thing where it was people would talk about ads and I was like, I don't know what you're
So
talking about.
you saw those commercials for like the worst like NCIS LAPD show ever? Those are always the commercials on during football. You ever notice that?
Yeah.
It's like,
It's
stick around for the worst show anyone's ever seen ever. Like, this looks
just
terrible. This looks so bad. Like,
it's
it's just
just
awful.
the network putting whatever new show
Well, it's
is just
just like,
coming.
why don't they put like, they have shows besides cop shows, right? Like they have shows, it's like cop shows and like hospital dramas, and they're on after football. Like, can't after football? Maybe that's just a bad time block. I don't know.
I mean, no, I feel like cop shows and hospital dramas constitute like 95% of classic TV episodic shows, right?
I
Like
guess
what else
probably.
is there?
I mean, I don't know, The Simpsons,
That's true.
or like because I mean, okay, like, what is football on? Like CBS, like
They're all of them. I think all
Fox.
the
I mean,
networks have some
I'm trying to think
games.
what are like popular CBS shows? I don't know.
I guess there's sitcoms. There's work
No, you're
dramas.
right. These are all freaking cop shows. Oh, Survivor.
Reality TV is a
Let's
big
watch
thing.
Survivor after football. Let's watch The Price is Right after football. That seems weird for some reason. You can
Yeah,
only watch that in the morning.
Price is Right is on in the morning.
Yeah, you only watch that in the morning.
It's an institution.
Uh, anyway, I don't know. I don't know what this podcast is about.
We're way off track here, but
Yeah.
yeah, no, just talking about advertising. Let's pivot back to like services on the internet, maybe paid versus free. Advertising has ruined so many things on the internet, and it's really unfortunate. Like we just posted our episode on enshittification, and ads. I mean, ads are essentially synonymous with enshittification, right? A service starts to offer, maybe not synonymous, but like that's one of
It's
the
part
ways
of it,
in
yeah.
which a service starts to degrade, is that they realize that their current revenue model isn't supporting operation, so they start offering ads to get more income, and it never makes a service better, right? Ads never improve a
Yeah.
service.
Yeah.
I kind of felt like my feeling these days is that advertising itself, I don't think it's like inherently bad. And there was this period in the early days of podcasts, I felt like, where podcasts were kind of very specific, and
Hmm.
they had small audiences, and advertisers, I felt like, were able to target a group of people that actually might be interested in their product. And
Yeah.
I think that like that's when advertising really makes sense, is if you know the person and you think they might actually benefit from your product, and if they knew all the things that you know about your product, they would still be happy to give you $20 a month, like Kagi. And if you're able to reach those people and advertise to them, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's just this like shotgun of attempt to like get everybody and target everybody with ads all the time that just doesn't work at all, and it just makes everything crappier.
Yeah, but I mean, I would say a lot of services now are doing targeted ads, right? Like YouTube, like your YouTube ads are different than my YouTube ads, and your ads on Twitter are different from my ads on Twitter. And from a privacy standpoint, that's like, that's a big privacy topic, right? Is like, I don't want targeted ads. I don't want to see, like, I don't want to be tracked so that people can advertise me specific things. Because I mean, like it does freak me out when I see, an advertisement for a very specific thing that like I just had a kid, and like now I see ads for like diapers and stuff, and it's like that's kind of weird. I don't know.
It's really weird. Yeah. Or something you just bought or something you just talked about.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, no, that's a really good point. I mean, ads have been more and more targeted, so maybe my example there doesn't make a lot of sense. But I still, I don't know. I guess I would say the difference there is that even with the targeted ads, I almost never see an ad for something that I was not aware of before.
Yeah, and I always wonder about that. Like, I mean, they say like marketing people say that like that advertisements they do work their way into your subconscious even if you feel like you're not paying attention to them.
Hmm.
And I think like probably one of the best companies in terms of marketing ever is probably Coca-Cola. In my just offer it just my personal opinion. I feel like the way that they made Coca-Cola synonymous with the concept of Christmas is
Mm.
insane, right? The fact that like I see that Santa Claus and I think of Coca-Cola, or I see polar bears and I think of Coca-Cola, like that is insane.
Yeah.
And that's like you might think like, oh, they're just showing me this ad of people drinking Coke on Christmas, but it's like it made a difference, you know.
Right.
The thing that I'll say I hate is I hate it when I'm watching something where like I see ads on a platform and on the content on the platform, notably YouTube, right? Like I see a YouTube ad and then the video has an ad like recorded in the video, and
Oh, yeah.
then I see another YouTube ad and then I watch the video. I hate that. I really should just pay for YouTube Premium, honestly. Everyone says it's worth it, but I don't know. I feel like I have a mental block there. I can't do it.
YouTube is one of the ones that I sometimes think about paying for also, just because I feel like I use it enough.
I watch YouTube probably more than I watch any of the streaming services I do pay for. So I don't know why I won't do it.
That's probably true for me too. I don't. Yeah, I use them in very different ways. Like when
Yeah.
me and my wife are watching a show, that's always on some streaming service. And then if I'm if I'm just like hanging out watching something or I'm doing the dishes or whatever, that's usually a YouTube video.
Maybe that's it because like I I know that I should probably watch less YouTube. So by paying for it, it's like I don't know, it feels like having like the McDonald's app or something. Like I'm just being a loser doing this. I know I'll save money, but I'm not doing it.
Yes, that's 100% right. I feel the same way. It would be like paying for Instagram in exchange for no sponsored posts in Instagram. It's like I don't want to start paying for Instagram. I don't want to use Instagram more, or at least admit that I'm using it as much as I do.
Yeah. So that's a good segue because I wanted to get into this. People like the internet at large seems to have pretty much uh, unified on if you pay for Twitter, you're a loser, right?
Hmm.
I think pretty much everyone agrees with that. And I kind of wonder, like, I don't pay for Twitter or X or
Wait,
whatever.
sorry, just to be clear, what can you pay for on Twitter these days? Do you pay for? I'm not even on there anymore. Do you pay to
Oh,
use it?
really? Yeah, no. So when Elon Musk took over and it became X, well, actually, this might have been before that, but there's a premium tier of Twitter which has no ad. I think it has no ads, and you unlock analytics on your posts.
Oh,
I don't know why. I guess that makes sense for some people, but and also recently you get access to Grok, their AI tool. I was telling a friend the other day. Apparently, the new Grok 3, new at the time of this recording, is really good, but I'm not going to pay for Twitter, so I'll never know. And that kind of came up with the API key thing. He's like, well, you could get an API key, and I'm like, yeah, but I'm still kind of still giving money the same play. I don't want to pay for Twitter. It seems wrong. Feels
yeah.
weird.
I think that's still paying for it. I don't. That seems like splitting hairs to say that paying for an API key is not paying for the service.
Right. And I just I don't know. Why do you think that is? Why can I just not pay for Twitter?
Is it because the internet thinks it's not cool?
I think what it is, well, yeah. I mean, the internet does think it's not cool, but I think the reason why the internet reacted the way they did is because it was free. I think there's a big thing there. Like, I remember also when, PlayStation Network used to be free, and Xbox Live was costed money, and that was a big thing on PlayStation. Was like, hey, well, PlayStation Network is free, and now this was like years ago. Now you have to pay for PlayStation Network. It costs about the same as Xbox Live. And the argument that Sony made was, well, our servers are down all the time because we don't have enough money because we offer this service for free. We'll make it premium and it'll be better. And it's premium now and it's not any better. Like it didn't get better at all. And I think that's what it is, man. You take something. You make people used to something being free, and then you ask them to pay money for it, and it just tastes bad.
Yeah, no, that's 100% right. So much of it has to do with expectation. We were talking about browsers, right? Asking somebody to pay for a web browser, even though people want to complain about like how much data about you they're gathering and stuff like that. It's like, okay, well, the other option is you pay $15 for a web browser, and nobody is willing to do that. I don't think. Just there's an expectation that search engines, browsers, those are free things.
Did Netscape cost money or one of those early ones? Did AOL cost money?
AOL had a monthly fee. Yeah, you couldn't just use the AOL browser. You had to sign up for the AOL service.
It was like a whole thing, yeah.
And then eventually they added the internet onto the AOL stuff. But I don't know if those early browsers cost money or not.
I mean, at least in my lifetime, I guess Internet Explorer is not really free, but like it was free.
It came with your operating system, and you already had an operating system, so I think most people would consider Internet Explorer free. Yeah.
So yeah, we wanted to talk about, or I wanted to talk about Kagi. I'm like a Kagi fanboy.
Yeah.
This is, we're not associated with Kagi in any way on this podcast or anything. We don't have any ads right now at the time of this recording. Maybe someday we will have ads on our videos and stuff. I don't know. But as of right now, we don't have any advertising or anything. Everything we say is just like straight up. We just like these things. And Kagi is a paid search engine. I pay $10 a month for, and I love it. I think it's great, and I think it's like the best thing ever. And a lot of people think it's weird that I pay for a search engine, which I understand why. But once you break that mental model of like thinking that a search engine has to be free, I feel like I get a great value, right? I spend $10 a month and I search all day, every day, and I get really good results on Kagi, and it's very worth it.
Yeah, I 100% agree that like you are in the right on this. You have the right headspace, which is that, yeah, this is a useful tool. If it's worth $10 a month, just pay the $10 a month and don't deal with Google's garbage that goes along with sponsored posts and all that. I have just not been able to cross that hurdle myself. I think, but the big thing for me, I'm curious to like track someday how much I actually search in a day. I feel like it's not a lot, but I bet it's a lot more than I think.
That was my experience when I did the lower tier Kagi at first, and I looked at my metrics, and I was like about to hit my quota immediately, or hit my limit, I guess. Yeah, I searched way more than I thought.
So is Kagi just straight up search engine? There's like there's nothing, I don't know. I'm trying to think of what I'm even imagining here, but there's nothing like added in there. There's no additional tools or anything like that. It's just like a search engine, and you get results without sponsored posts and all that garbage.
So I mean, the main product is the search engine, but they also have a few other things, and it depends on what tier you get, I think. But probably one of the most underrated, most useful things is they have like an AI summarizer. So it's like a separate tool, and you can just like put in a link, and it'll give you a summary uh, of the article or whatever, and it's very good.
Does it use their AI engine, some proprietary thing, or?
I don't know what it's powered by actually. I really have no idea, but it's very good, and it must be because it actually can follow links. I think maybe now other tools can do that, but at the time that it came out, like most of the other AI tools would be like, "Oh, I see you posted a URL. I can't look at those."
Hmm.
But I think there's a few other things Kagi might provide. But yeah, the main thing is a really good search experience with cool features, granular, no ads, and no one can like buy rankings. That's a big part of it, right? Like you can't pay money to be higher. Like the results are just good results.
So
You
none
can
of the
also like you can customize it in a lot of ways. Like you can downrank or uprank certain websites. Like I haven't messed with that at all because I think the just natural results are good. But I know some people will like they'll like downrank Pinterest because they don't want Pinterest results, or like they'll uprank Reddit because they want to see Reddit results or something.
and these are just your personal results. It's
Yeah,
not
you can just set these. You can just customize this.
nothing to do with Kagi's indexing of the site or SEO or whatever.
No.
Okay.
So yeah, Kagi's just very cool, dude.
I'm gonna try it. I think, yeah, like I said, I think you're 100% in the right on this, and I need to get on this train.
So I wonder what other tools are there that are free that we should actually use a paid service for? I mean, like browsers would be one, but I don't think there really is one.
Yeah, I'm not aware of one right now. I think for a lot of people, here's an interesting one. Code editors.
Yeah. Oh
Um,
yeah, because you're a Sublime Text user.
I am a Sublime Text user, and I paid like $70 for Sublime in 2013 or something like that, and it's still going strong.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of things like that that are like one time, you own it. It doesn't need to, doesn't need a renewal, doesn't need to check licenses, all that. But I think a lot of people who have been using VS Code for the last decade would have a real hard time swallowing the idea of paying for their code editor.
I think so. I think today it would be harder. But also like how much is like PyCharm JetBeans? Uh is that JetBeans? Am I
I
thinking of the right
don't.
thing?
Good. I don't know if PyCharm is.
I'm trying to think of JetBrains. JetBrains.
Oh, okay.
Is that what I'm thinking of?
Yeah. So PyCharm is JetBrains, and they make
They
other
make
stuff.
IntelliJ. Yeah. And these all cost money, right? Like apparently some of these are free. They have free versions now, I guess, of some of these. But I'm pretty sure PyCharm and IntelliJ cost money. Yeah, IntelliJ does.
Yeah.
And IntelliJ is okay, so I'm looking here. It's $600? Okay, it's $600 a year.
Yeah, PyCharm looks like it's $250 per user per year for the lowest tier.
Like that's insane, right? I mean, what is this thing doing? What does this editor do, man? That would warrant $600 a year a user.
And that's a big part of it too, is that I'm way more likely to pay for something if it's a one-time purchase and I get the thing and I don't have
Absolutely.
to think about a subscription. I don't have to renew a subscription. I much prefer that model.
Absolutely.
And I think
that does go back to enshittification because more and more things are trying to do like as a service models.
Yeah. But I think the interesting thing about a code editor is it doesn't need to be plugged into the internet. There are a handful of actions like downloading plugins and maybe some Git stuff where you need network connectivity. But in general, editing text files on your hard drive doesn't need to be a service. It doesn't need to be a
Yeah.
connected service. And yet we've kind of like crammed a lot of these into being a service when they don't need to be.
Yeah. JetBrains is literally just saying, "Oh, you didn't pay, so we're taking it back."
Yeah.
But I just can't. I mean, I feel like listeners probably think I'm like flip flopping here because I pay for Kagi and I'm so happy with it. But like, no, I'm fine with people paying for an editor. But what the hell is JetBrains doing? I mean, honestly, $600 a month. I mean, that's for organizations. That's not personal use. But
yeah, that's
crazy, right? That's bonkers. When Cursor is free, and Cursor literally writes the code for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I mean, people must get hold on. What's the other one that I've heard? Yeah, JetBrains also makes Sea Lion. And I have heard a lot of people talk about really, really liking Sea Lion, which is like for C and C++. That's $230 per user per year. So
okay, well, I will say, I mean, I guess with a Java, like, because IntelliJ is like Java specific. I mean, you can use it for other things, but it's kind of like for Java guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I guess if you're writing Java, you want like you're paying for more than just an editor, right? Like there's the debugger and like the debug tools and stuff, which is like, I don't know. I guess if you're a Java developer, that might make more sense.
I mean, that's kind of, I don't know. Do you really think that? Let me ask you this. What does it mean to be a Java specific editor or a C++ specific editor? Like what kinds of things are you getting for that?
I don't know.
I kind of want to watch a demo of Sea Lion and see, I don't know, maybe there's something that I can't even imagine right now that's like, it really, really improves your productivity when you're writing C++ specifically.
Yeah. Well, I met a guy who used PyCharm, and he was like, "Oh, PyCharm is the best because I mostly write Python." And I was like, "What's it do?" I mean, it's the same thing, right? Like, what's it doing? I mean, what's it doing?
Yeah. I mostly write Python too.
Yeah, that's weird.
I don't know what else is worth money. You know, one thing that I do like paying for, Password Manager.
Yeah.
I really want to know that my password manager doesn't have any incentive to use my data for any other purposes and is going to stay in business, you know?
Yeah.
I kind of
so
feel
I just use the free tier of Bitwarden. I don't pay for it. Maybe I should.
Yeah, I'm on Bitwarden too, and I do pay for it. What do you get in the free tier? I can't remember.
Everything I need. I save passwords and I have a password manager. I don't really know what's in a paid tier, honestly.
Maybe there was something like me and my wife share some passwords or something. Maybe there was something like that we needed to upgrade for. But
okay, on the free tier, you get unlimited devices, passkey management, all the core functions, always free. Premium is integrated authenticator, file attachments, emergency access. I don't know what that means. Security reports and more. And then there's a family plan.
Yeah, I'm definitely doing the premium tier, and me and my wife have kind of a shared thing going on for certain passwords, but I don't know.
So I guess it's the authenticator. Oh, and files. What is emergency access? Designate other Bitwarden users as emergency contacts who can request access to your vault in case of emergencies. Is that it?
Yeah, maybe that's the one I use. She can get into my stuff if I die.
Do you get 24/7 support? Yeah, that's probably a good thing to pay for. I have my password in a physical location that I will not disclose on the podcast for when I die. That I told my wife where it is. I don't know if she'll. I hope she remembers and finds it.
Yeah. She's like, I forgot where it is. Forgot what you told me.
But yeah, that's shout out to Bitwarden. Shout out to Bitwarden. Shout out to Kagi. But I think there's a method of payment structure that I think we've neglected to talk about that is really big, which is, there's a free tier that's really good to the point that you want to pay for a premium tier that just has some premium features, right? Like there's a few tools I've used that were so good when they were free that I was like, I just gotta pay for, I gotta do it. So one was Drops, language Drops, which is basically like Duolingo. I just think it's a little better than Duolingo. And I have premium Drops, which is just like more. You get limited time. You can only do like one lesson a day on the free tier, I think. But on premium, it's unlimited, and there's a few other things you can only do on premium. I also pay for premium Remember the Milk. I don't even remember why. I don't remember what premium feature it is that I like.
I think all the syncing stuff is premium only.
Maybe that's it.
Do you use it on your phone and your computer?
I do, yeah. I think I did that when I was on the free tier though.
Oh, really?
But I think like subtasks, maybe. I don't know. Sometimes I'll use something for so long that I'm like, I just have to pay for this. I just feel like I'm being a mooch.
That's a real thing. I have had that before. Having trouble thinking of an example, but yeah, there's some things. Obsidian was like that, where it's like,
oh yeah, I just started paying for Obsidian recently.
It's like, I don't need to pay for this, but I'm going to pay for it because I love it. I think it's great software, and I think they're doing things the right way, so I'm going to pay for it.
Yeah, same. And I saw like, there's ways you can just host all your stuff yourself. Like, I was like, it feels a little involved, and it's not expensive to just use their hosting. So I'll just do that.
I'm still hosting it myself. I don't use any of the sync stuff. I just did like a one-time bought a
cool.
I forget what they call it, the Catalyst license or whatever. But it's just like, it's just like a one-time purchase. It's great.
Oh yeah, no, I'm using their hosting. It's just really seamless. Do you like contribute to open source projects?
With code or with money?
No, with money, I mean. Is there anything you give money to?
I don't have anything I give money to regularly. I have given, I have like a certain amount that I try to donate to charities every month, and sometimes I'll include open source in there.
I don't.
It's pretty random.
I have. Sorry.
I wish I did a better job about that, because I feel like the thing that we were talking about with everything becoming a service and subscription fees and all that, like a big part of that, it's not only just the amount of money, but it's also the predictability of the revenue, right?
Yeah.
It's really hard to run and to grow a business if you can't rely on a certain amount coming in. And I think that,
That's another thing that's messed up about tipping, honestly. Like, you don't know if you're going to get good tips this month or not.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, there's been a few times actually, now that I think about it, where I've clicked like the buy me a coffee button. I donated to there's this Discord bot that gives you like a Bible verse every day, and it has a few other features. And they, like, around Christmas time, they sent an email, kind of asking for money email, but it was just such a nice email. Like, it was such a, like, I don't know how to explain it, but it was just so like, hey, we do this just for fun. We're not making any money. We're in the hole on this project. Anything you can give, please do. And I was just like, dude, you guys are running a Bible verse Discord bot. Like, I just can't, it's like, I feel like a blind nun is asking me for $5 right now. It's like, what am I gonna do? So I gave him some money. Like,
Good on you.
but do you ever see like, do you ever like install packages or something, and then they're like, "Please give us money, please." You ever see those messages?
Yeah. I
Yeah,
see it. I forget what that. I have some plugin in Sublime that every time it updates, it's like, donate, donate.
yeah,
It's very
yeah.
aggressive.
I saw one the other day. It was Parallel. Um, it's like a CLI tool. Uh, yeah, I think it was Parallel.
GNU?
Yeah,
Hmm.
GNU Parallel, I guess. And it was saying that, and I'm like, it's just like, okay, hang on. I'm not sure if I even really remember what you do. I know I use you, but I don't remember what this is.
I mean, that's really the crazy thing about open source, right? Is like, um, do why don't I need to donate to Image Magic? How's that guy getting by?
Yeah,
Right? Like the the LS utilities, right? Like who's
yeah,
maintaining those, and do they need money? What's going on with that? There's just so many. The stack on any given Linux system is so deep, and there's just so many like thankless jobs in maintaining a lot of that software that um, I don't know. I don't even, maybe that would be a good research project. Like I don't even know how you would donate and support that stuff, you know? Like
yeah,
some of the low level Linux utilities.
yeah, yeah. I don't know. Um, but yeah, I probably should donate to more things like that. Probably more things that probably a lot of things that I use that I should pay for that I like don't. Um, I remember like you still see the memes sometimes about WinRAR asking for money,
Yeah.
but legitimately, I used WinRAR a lot. I never gave them money.
Probably not too late. I bet you could go buy a copy now.
Does WinRAR still exist?
Oh, it's got to, right? It's got to.
I think so, but the thing is, at some point, Windows started like managing archives internally, so I think people probably don't really use WinRAR much anymore.
Oh, right. That's a good point.
I said with over 500 million users worldwide, it's the world's most popular compression tool. What?
WinRAR never dies, baby.
I mean, with 500 million users, maybe I don't need to contribute. Maybe they're doing okay.
This is like the popular YouTuber. You're like,
Yeah, dude.
they're good.
Yeah. Um, is there anything else to say about free versus paid projects?
I don't think so. That was, yeah, that was kind of off the cuff. That was fun. I have a lot of thoughts on that. They're not very organized. I
Same, yeah. But I think the summation, and I imagine most people are going to agree, is like I'd much rather just do a one-time payment for anything. Even better if I can use it for free and then pay. But yeah, I don't want to see ads in your stuff. I don't want to pay a subscription. I want to pay just one time.
I feel like just psychologically, I would be in a better place if I saw 90% less ads in a day. You know what I mean? If I didn't hear ads in every service and everything, I just feel like even if that meant buying it, I just feel like I'd be feel much more
Yeah.
comfortable.
Like, what would the world look like if advertising didn't exist?
I think everyone would just be frolicking in a meadow, right?
I mean, I've advertised. I've like paid for advertising for our podcast.
Yeah.
I've bought ad spots for this.
That's why I'm a little bit hesitant to condemn all advertising. I think that goes a little far. Like I think that advertising does have a place. I don't think it needs I think that clearly, like especially in the world of the internet and the world of streaming, advertising is out of control. The way that
Hmm.
we use it to monetize and to fund um, every service and every feature is just That's no way to be.
Yeah. I can't remember what it is, but I do feel like I know there's been moments where I was like scrolling and I saw an ad for something and I was like, yo, that looks awesome, and then it legitimately was.
Hmm.
I know that's happened to me.
I honestly can't think of a situation where that's happened. Like I said, I feel like almost all the ads I see or hear are stuff that I already knew about and I already scrolled past and didn't want to know about. I don't know.
I know there's a thing in internet marketing. They say that on average, like the average buyer, they purchase when they've been prompted the seventh time.
Oh, really?
Like on average, people will buy something the seventh time they've seen it. So, which is nuts. And I don't know if that really matches my own personal experience, but that's I read that somewhere, and that's why like websites will do things like, hey, you left this in your cart and left, and because that's one more time to prompt, right? So apparently it works to remind people to buy something over and over again.
That's kind of fascinating. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people think that they're immune to ads, right? And that advertising doesn't work on me and that kind of thing. And I mean, things like that. I think when you really look into it, things like that show you that it does work. They're chipping away at you.
Yeah, it definitely does work. I mean, the Coca-Cola thing, like, or yeah.
7 times.
Do you want to get into whose side are you on?
Sure. Let's do it.
I was thinking the other day, man, I think maybe we should make an intro for whose side are you on?
Oh,
Just a little
theme
like,
music.
whose side are you on? Kind of just something to like break it up and like introduce. Because I think I was listening back to an episode and I was like, I just said whose side are you on, and then I just said it, and it wasn't. I don't think it probably was clear to new listeners like what just happened. Like
Oh,
this
yeah.
is a different segment, Is
Totally.
something to think about. I did have one. I feel like this episode's getting a little long, but I don't know. I'm gonna do it. So I'm gonna send a link. In the chat. Can the viewers see our chat? I don't think they can.
I don't think so.
Anyway, so I'll go ahead and share also. How about that? I came across this the other day. Epic semantic versioning. And I probably should have showed this to you before we start recording because it's kind of complicated, but I've seen people complain about like semantic versioning, and this is like a concept of like a better way to do semantic versioning.
Okay.
And it's only here at the end that he actually describes how it works and why. But so this is the format. It's epoch times 1000 plus the major version dot minor dot patch. So the typical version system, right, is major dot minor dot patch. He explains this here, right? Yeah. So major, you increment when you make incompatible API changes. Minor being increment when you add functionality in a backwards compatible manner. Patch is just bug fixes. I've seen people explain this online as patch is a change that you're not proud of. Minor is a change, or no, patch is a change that you're embarrassed by. Minor is a change that you're not really proud of. Major is a change that you're proud of.
That's very funny.
And that's kind of what he's getting into here, though, is that people view it more that way than whether or not something is backwards compatible. Sometimes.
Okay.
Right. So he talks about like there's examples of projects like I don't know these, but like slide dev is version 0.50.0 or React Native. Okay, it's on version 0.76.5. That's not because it's pre-release. That's just because they haven't made any backwards incompatible changes. right? So it's kind of weird, right? Like, why is it zero? It's version 0, but it's in production everywhere. That's weird, right?
Yeah, I think a lot of people are a little bit hesitant to use software that hasn't reached 1.0.
Right. But like React Native you can use it. So his suggestion is epoch times 1000 times plus major dot minor dot patch. So major, minor, and patch are the same, but there's this new concept of the epoch, which is you increment when you make significant or groundbreaking changes. So this is basically just a way for you to change that first number, even if the changes are backwards compatible.
Are you not free to do that in semantic versioning? Can you not just, even if something isn't backward compatible, can't you just call it version 2.0?
Yeah, you can.
Oh.
I mean, you can do whatever you want, really.
So why
But
do we
you're breaking the process when you do that, right? Like that's not the way it's intended to work. And I think the problem is that some projects do that and some projects don't. And that kind of confuses people. You know what I mean?
I see. I'm scanning here. What's an example when you epoch times 1000 plus major?
Yeah. So I think this explains it. For example, Uno CSS would transition from 0.65.3 to 65.3.0, right? Because the epoch is 0, assuming the epoch is 0. Following Semver, a patch release would become 65.3.1, and a feature release would be 65.4.0. If we introduce some minor incompatible changes affecting an edge case, we could bump it to 66.0.0. Okay, so that's like a new major version to alert users of potential impacts. In the event of a significant overhaul to the core, we could jump directly to 1000.0.0 to signal a new era and make a big announcement. I'd suggest assigning a code name to each non-zero epoch to make it more memorable and easier to refer to. This approach provides maintainers with more flexibility to communicate the scale of changes to users effectively. So what is your gut reaction to this? What do you call it? Epoch Semver?
My gut reaction is that I'm not sure it really solves the problem. Like, I still think that there's ambiguity there in terms of when to increment that first number.
Mhm.
Maybe it's just the ambiguity of the word groundbreaking. Like what's a So he's saying that it doesn't count as a groundbreaking change. Let's see.
Well, so I think what he's saying is like, if you're following Semver strictly, you could do you could like redesign your whole app, right? Make it look completely different and feel completely different. But if the changes are backwards compatible, then it's still a 0 version. So I'm gonna go ahead and give my take on this. I think this is stupid. I think this is dumb.
Okay.
Not really for any specific reason, but other than just the fact that it is way too complicated, right? I think the reason why Semver is good is because it's simple, right? And even if it sometimes isn't consistent, it's simple, right? And so if you did want to do something like this, the times 1000 thing is really weird to me. Like,
that is really weird.
And he explains in here that he used 1000 because 100 might not be enough, right? Because like you might have more than 100 major versions. So like that would, it would 1000 gives you just more. But okay, first of all, from a programming perspective, that's still wrong, right? Like, because there could be more than 1000 major versions also. There probably wouldn't be, but that's how we end up in really bad. Thinking as a programmer, this is how we mess things up: is when we think, oh, the number won't be that high. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. 1000 should be enough for anybody.
Yeah, but yeah. If you really wanted to do something like this, I would say let's have 4 numbers, right? Let's do epoch dot major dot minor dot patch, right?
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
But I still think it's kind of like what are we really doing here? What are we doing here? Like you said, it's still kind of vague. What does that really communicate? And um, I think what's really weird too is some semantic versioning is like predictable. I mean, for the most part, you don't know, like you don't know how many minor versions there are per major version, right? Like you don't know what's a valid version. But to me, like if I'm in my package.json file and I'm upgrading something and then the new version is 1073 and I'm upgrading from 73 0 to 73, that is confusing. That is really confusing me, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And feels very weird. And I think I've seen other people online complain about semantic versioning a little bit, and I just think it's one of those things that, like, hey, maybe it could be better, but it's good enough. It's definitely good enough.
I think that's kind of where I'm at. Like, so this whole idea of like we were at 2.3.74 and then we did a massive overhaul on everything, but technically it's backward compatible. So we're not going to increment the major version. Seems a little silly to me. Like if you did a major rewrite, even if it happens to be backward compatible, I I don't think it's a big deal to increment the major version.
I agree.
That seems
I
a
think you're right.
little.
You can just bump the major version instead of adding 1000 to it.
I think we all agree that like that's. I don't know. I guess the whole point is that maybe people are much more involved with their package JSON files and their cargo toml files. Like they're pinning them to specific versions so that if someone were to upgrade the major version in that case, they would take it as an incompatible change when technically it's incompatible. I really think that if you've made that many big changes to the internals, even if it happens to be backward compatible, you probably still want to like take a look at that before you upgrade to it, you know?
But there's a note here. I did read this whole thing, but it was a while ago. In an ideal world, I would wish Semver to have four numbers: epoch.major.minor.patch. The epoch version is for those big announcements, while major is for technical incompatible API changes that might not be significant. This way, we can have a more granular way to communicate changes. Similarly, we also have romantic versioning that propose human.major.minor. Okay, this is a whole other thing.
Maybe that's
The
what I'm
creator
in
of
favor of.
Semver also mentions similar concerns, but of course, it's too late for the entire ecosystem to adopt a new versioning scheme. If
Is
we
it?
can't change Semver, maybe is it? If we can't change Semver, maybe we can at least extend it. So that's why he doesn't want to do that. Is he doesn't want to change things too much. He just wants major versions to seemingly randomly increase by 1,000. It seems very dumb to me. And I'll say one other thing I want to bring up is the other day I was on Twitter and someone was complaining about Semver, and I was like, okay, but what do we do instead? And somebody replied to me, and the guy said, your versioning should just be the commit hash. And I don't know if the guy was kidding or not, but it's like, look, the semantic versioning is not for me, the guy who made it, right? The
Yeah,
versioning is for the people who use it, and a hash communicates nothing. That's the point, right? Is that a hash communicates nothing. It's random.
exactly.
Uh, that's just incredibly dumb. Like I think semantic versioning is pretty okay. That's the side I'm on.
I think so too. So one thing I'll say in defense of that article that I wasn't really getting at first was this remains compatible with existing semantic versioning. So like you
Right.
said, we're going to have things jump from 0.73.3 to 1000, which is a little bit weird. But the whole idea is that the NPM ecosystem and all that can remain as it is, and people can just continue to use semantic versioning with this new epoch idea. I think that's, I don't know. I think that's laudable, I guess, but I'm not sure that it's really that important to keep semantic versioning. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Does everything fall apart if we move to something with 4 parts to it? That doesn't seem like that big a
Yeah,
deal.
I don't know. I wouldn't think so. But I think even then it's not it's not worth the change is the thing, you know?
Yeah.
Like we're just we're redoing a lot of stuff for not really much gain, I think.
Yes, I
Okay,
agree
so
with that.
I'm looking at romantic versioning real quick, and it's basically just what most people think semantic versioning is, where the first number is a conceptual change, a major rewrite, major documentation change, or any other change that would require additional human involvement. Major version. Oh, okay, so this is human.major.minor. So then the second number would be incompatible API changes, and then minor version would be backwards compatible fixes or backwards compatible functionality. It's a little
That
weird.
that seems like the right model to me.
I think so too. I
A
agree.
human version. I'm there's a lot here, but like a human version is a big change, whatever that means to a
It's
human being.
basically the epoch, like he was saying.
Right. And then the major is that's going to increment if it's not compatible. Third numbers for every little,
Pretty much everything else. Yeah.
every change that's not those. I don't know. That makes a lot of sense to me.
That makes very good sense. But again, I feel like this is kind of how people use. I feel like even if people don't realize it, I think a lot of people are doing this.
Right. This is, yeah, I'll be honest. I kind of thought this is what semantic versioning was.
Yeah, I think most people do.
Hmm. Yeah. So whose side are you on? I say no to epoch versioning. I don't think that's really solving a problem that exists in real life.
Yeah, it's good enough what we have.
Yeah. I like to version all my things with just some kind of code name. So you never know if one version did that come out after, before the other one?
Well, you don't go by like alphabetical or something like. I do like it when companies do that. I like when Android did like the jumping jelly bean and then uh, Oreo, whatever.
Yeah.
Linux does that.
Honeycomb.
Yeah. I do like that.
Is Android still doing that? Do they
No, they
still have code
stopped. I
names?
was a little sad when they stopped doing that.
Hmm. Yeah, they were all sweet treats.
Yeah, it was alphabetical, so you knew which one came after.
But Ubuntu's still doing that, right? They
Yeah,
still
yeah, they still do the. I wonder what they're on. Like,
they've cycled through, man. I think
yeah,
I
they
got
have
in.
two words, right? Like,
Yeah, it's always an adjective and an animal. It's
where
like
the
a Mad
hell?
Lib.
I feel like I should be able to just find this very easily. Okay, here we go. Lucid Links, Meerkat, Xenius Erix, Yakety Yak, Zesty Zappus, Artful Aardvark, 17. So the latest one is 20. Oh, it's 20. Okay, it looks like the newest one is Oracular Oriole. Oh no, Plucky Puffin. It's not out yet, but Plucky Puffin.
That's going to be
It's version
2504.
25. Yeah.
Running low on animals.
So I thought the whole reason they had two names was that they could so they wouldn't have to cycle back around, right? They could do A B A C, right? And then when they get through that, then they could go B A B B. You know what I'm saying?
Oh no, I think they've always just been two words starting with the same
Yeah, they're
letter,
both the
and they
same.
both change every time.
Which I guess is fine because it's just like a code name, but um, whatever.
I got into Ubuntu many years ago with Hardy Heron, which I think was 2007 maybe, and
Jeez, dude.
yeah, it made me feel really old when they cycled back around. I was like, oh man, been hanging
Let me
around
think.
long enough.
The earliest one that I used was probably pretty. I know I used Xenial Xeris. I probably used Utopic Unicorn. 14. I definitely used 14 at some point.
Yeah, and unlike the Wikipedia page here, they only refer to them by their adjective name. They just call them
Right. Yeah. It was
feisty.
It was just Xennial. Yeah. Bionic. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. But yeah, I like when teams do this. I think it's fun.
But they always did have version numbers too, so obviously it was like, if you
And I like their
only give it a
versioning
code
system,
name.
right? It's just two numbers. I like that.
Yeah. Well,
25.04. Like that makes sense.
I think the thing there is that they've committed to doing 2 releases a year, right? That's what makes that system
Oh,
work.
yeah.
There's always a point. It's just year .04 and year .10.
Why is it 4 and 10? I've never thought about this.
They're released in April and October.
Wow.
Just they've been extremely consistent as far as I know about always releasing right from the jump, like
It's a
releasing
little
twice a
goofy to
year.
me. That's a little goofy to me, honestly. Why wouldn't you do .1 and .2? First one, second one.
I don't know. I don't mind 4 and 10 if you're consistent with it. It's not. I think it would be a little weird to use the month if it was always different. Like if it was, I don't know. Even then, 24/6 tells you. It tells you like right at a glance that came before or after 23/10.
What if they like missed a month one time for some reason?
I mean, Ubuntu's been doing this for a long time. I feel like they must have missed one at one point.
It doesn't look like it. If I look at these dates, it's pretty.
That's
Yeah,
kind
it's
of
always.
incredible.
Yeah.
They do have a 606. So there was one that was not a 10 or a 4 early in the process.
Wait, the version number is 606?
Yeah.
Dapper Drake.
Dapper Drake.
It was released behind schedule, having been intended as 604. It is sometimes jokingly described as the first late-to-ship release. Development was not complete. So they do just change it by the month. See, that's a little goofy, right? Like, oh, this one time there was a 606,
I don't know. I don't hate it. I think it conveys the necessary information, right? You just need to know if it came before or after some of the ones around
Yeah,
it.
that's true. Yeah.
And I think it's less, I would say using year and month is less ambiguous than like an arbitrary choice to increase the major version number and semantic versioning,
Yeah. Increasing it to 1006.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Feels less arbitrary than that to me.
Okay. This is a long episode. Well, thanks everybody for watching.
Catch you next time.
Yeah.
1x Developer Podcast.
Hey everybody, this is Colin. First and foremost, I want to thank you all for listening to this episode of the 1x Developer Podcast, and let you know that if you have any questions, comments, or if you just want to tell us about your day, you can reach us at X, formerly known as Twitter, at 1x Developer Podcast. We're also on YouTube at 1x Developer Podcast. You can email us if you're weird at 1xdeveloperpodcast at protonmail.com. And lastly, don't forget to follow, subscribe, all that stuff, so you don't miss any further episodes of the 1x Developer Podcast. Thanks so much. See you next time.